have a Tormach PCNC440, and I really love it. The one thing that I really didn't like about it is the doors opening outward towards me, because the doors always are covered in coolant, and as soon as you open them, that coolant is dripping all over the floor. So like many others before me, I went through the process of converting my doors so they slide sideways instead of pulling up. So the idea is both doors will slide over to the side, and you can access the inside of your machine while all the coolant drips down inside the enclosure. So let me go into the details of how I did that. I just want to say I'm not the first person to do this. I totally copied some other people. I just noticed that there was a lot of people asking how it's done, and there wasn't a lot of explanation on how to do it. So this is my whole reason for doing it, is just to explain how I did it, which is very similar to how some other people already did it before me. So I first had to buy the track. Now, if you just go to Amazon.com and search for bypass slider 1/4, that's for 1/4 inch doors, this should come up. I'm pretty sure this is the exact one I bought, Nape and Voigt. It's for 1/4 inch sliding track. The doors that come on the PCNC 440 are 1/4 inch wide, or 1/4 inch thick, so you can actually reuse your doors and create those, turn those into sliding doors. So back to the model here. So the key points here are there's these 4 holes at the corners where you already have existing holes in your enclosure. So I took advantage of that just like some other people did. And I'm going to turn off the visibility on the enclosure here. So I bought some aluminum and slotted it out. I actually used another machine I had access to create these slots. My original plan was to glue this in there, and by making the slots about 5 thousandths narrower than the plastic track, I was able to just press it in there, and it's stays in place really well. I did have to use a soft rubber mallet to get it in there, but it doesn't pinch the door. I was kind of worried about that if it was too tight, but it really worked well. So the other thing I did is I drilled and tapped these holes. So I'm showing the hole going all the way through. I didn't actually drill and tap it all the way through because I did it manually, and that would have been a pain. Also, that's kind of a long tap for the tap size. So this is a 1032 tap. So I manually drilled and tapped that to make sure it aligned, and put a screw through there. And so I marked this first one, I drilled and tapped it, put the screw through, held this up, and used a center punch to mark this second hole, and took it all out, drilled and tapped it again. So there's a little bit of a process. That distance center to center should be pretty close to 24 inches, but it's not guaranteed because this is sheet metal and everything's bent slightly different. So that's why I would recommend just measuring and using a center punch or something to mark and drill and tap by hand. So coming over to the drawing, again, this is that track support I made. So the track I bought, I think it was about 0.845 wide. So by making this 0.84 wide, I could just push it right in there and it stays in place. I made this 1/4 inch deep, this pocket, and this was just a 1.25 by 0.625 piece of stock. I didn't machine any of the sides. They were all close enough to square for me. And then again, this is a 1032 screw. I think you need about 1/2 inch of threads to reuse the screws that are already in those holes. And it should be about 1/4 inch from the end and kind of centered on the meaty part of the stock there. So again, there are 2 of these holes. This second hole is about 24 inches. And I'm not showing here, I'm going to add this dimension really quick. So the entire length of this is 30 inches. So if we come back over here, the reason I did 30 inches is if you kind of look from the back here. So if you're looking from the front of the door, this is the right side. So the track terminates right there. The door can continue to slide past there. But if you have a handle on there, which you probably will, that'll stop it from sliding. But I wanted to make sure this didn't bump all the way up against the wall so that the coolant can drain off the end there. And then same thing on this side, the door can slide past there. It's still supported enough, but actually as the door slides over there, it's going to push all that coolant and chips back into the machine. So you can see another thing, people were asking, well, does coolant spill out the front? And since we have between the doors and all this, and then the actual front of the sheet metal here, there's a pretty significant gap. And so any coolant that might have gotten through here is just going to drip down and back into the machine. Or also if you're opening the door and there's coolant in here and it kind of spills over, it's just going to go back into the machine. So that totally works. So I used the existing handle. I'm not showing it here, but the handle is on this side. One thing I haven't done yet is figure out how to, as you're pulling it back closed, get the first door to catch onto the second door and pull it with it. So right now I'm just kind of manually putting these both in place, but that'd be pretty easy to figure out. Just put some kind of interfering something in between those 2 doors that'll keep it from separating as you go past. So for the doors, I use the original doors. I did have to cut the top of the door down. So for mine, the ideal height ended up being right around 25 1/8 inch. The doors are about 12 inches wide. I think I probably will eventually order new polycarbonate, and I'll probably go 13 inches wide instead of 12 inches wide, just so I have a little bit more overlap and a little more overlap on the sides. But you may have to just measure for yourself and see what height the doors are on your machine, just because there's some tolerances in there that aren't perfect. So thanks for watching and good luck.